Senator John Kennedy takes on the experts in a heated budget hearing, questioning America's costly path to carbon neutrality. Let's break down what it means for taxpayers. Dr. Kelly, head of resilience and a Cambridge PhD, is here to tell Congress how to make America carbon neutral by 2050. Senator Kennedy jumps in. If you were king for a day, what 5 things would you do? Kelly lists decarbonizing energy, risk disclosures, and global cooperation. Pressed for specifics, Kelly finally says he'd get rid of oil and gas, replacing it with wind and solar.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thanks to all the members of our panel for being here today. Dr. Kelly, you are head of environmental analytics, is that right? At what's the name of your company?
Resilience.
Resilience. Okay. You're a PhD?
That's correct.
Where'd you do your work?
At the University of Cambridge.
Okay. If you were king for a day, doctor, and you were not fettered or constrained by any political considerations, can you just list for me, I don't think we'll have time for you to explain each one at length, but list for me the 5 things you would do, king, to make America carbon neutral by 2050.
Thank you, Senator, for that question. The first and most important thing is to decarbonise the energy sector. So I'd remove fossil fuels from the economy as fast as possible and transition to renewable energy. I'd then require businesses to disclose their financial risks so that the community can understand, investors and shareholders can understand what those risks are and make better investment decisions. I would then work with the international community to make sure that the grid around the world is decarbonised. I would also work on agriculture, move to agriculture and other sectors to make sure that we can...
Well, that's not very specific. Let me try it again. Give me the 5 things. You're king now, but for one day. 5 new rules in the United States of America, so we'll be carbon-free by 2050.
I would put in a rule to make sure...
You'd get rid of oil and gas. That's the first one. That was the most specific.
Require companies to disclose climate-related risks.
Okay, that's 2.
I would invest in new technologies to decarbonise industrial processes to reduce emissions.
Okay, and what's 4?
Work with international communities to...
Work with the community, okay. Is there another one?
And to work with political leaders across...
Work with political leaders, yeah. You sound like a consultant.
Kennedy isn't convinced. What do you think? Real answers or just talking points? Kennedy keeps his foot on the gas, demanding a real cost to replace oil and gas with renewables. Dr. Rose finally lists solutions: carbon capture, renewables, cap and trade, but when asked about cost, he only guesses, maybe 2% of GDP. Kennedy's frustration shows. After all this, not one expert can tell taxpayers what the bill would be.
All right, let's take get rid of oil and gas. And what would you replace it with?
Renewable energy.
What kinds?
Wind and solar, presently the most cost-effective.
Nuclear?
I'm personally not in favour of nuclear.
You don't like nuclear. Okay. How much will it cost and over what period of time do we have to get rid of all oil and gas and go to wind and solar?
So the good thing about wind and solar is that it's now more cost-effective than producing new...
Over what period of time would we have to make this transition?
Well, we need to do it before 2050 to get to the US.
If we do it to 2050, will we be... I'm trying to understand what it should I give up. Dr. Rose, can you give me, if you were king for a day, the 3 things you would do?
We'll start on something that you might find more attractive. I'd invest.
I'm not interested in attractive.
Right. No, I'd invest.
But I've been to so many of these hearings where people come and talk about catastrophe, and you say, okay, what do we do about it? And you get nothing but nonsense. Right. So if you could give me, this is your chance, just 3 specific things, King, that you would do.
So I would invest in carbon capture and storage.
I
don't think we need to get rid of all fossil fuels immediately.
That's 1. Number 2.
Number 2, I would pass a renewable portfolio standard for the U.S., which calls for a shift to renewables and electricity generation. So I recently completed a study where
don't have time. What's number 3?
I would pass a cap and trade bill in the U.S. to find the least cost ways of dealing with climate change.
Tell me how that would work.
You essentially place a cap cap on emissions, you give permits or allowances to entities, and you allow them to trade. That trading shifts the cost burden to the lowest cost entities. We found that that can save 70% of the potential costs of dealing with climate change as opposed to passing across the board.
You put a tax on carbon?
Well, it's different than a tax because you can freely grant these allowances, and then it's trading. So it's not a tax. It's different than a tax.
Kennedy exposes the fantasy. Politicians promise a carbon-free America, but can't explain the cost, timeline, or trade-offs. When Kennedy asks, "How much will it cost?" the room goes silent. No concrete figures, just vague talk. It's not just about climate, it's about accountability. Kennedy's asking what every taxpayer wants to know.
How much do you think all this will cost? Your best guess.
I don't have a dollar figure, but the figure is a lot lower than what I've heard on this side of the aisle today.
Well, you think we ought to just do it and then worry about the cost?
No, I think we should do studies.
You advise the UN and you're at
Right.
USC, and that's a pretty good school.
Right.
What's your best guess about what it'll cost us to decarbonize by 2050?
Well, one thing I'd like to mention to the gentleman, Brown, that it's not the government paying this cost.
Yes, but could you give me a figure first?
I would say it might cost us 2% of GDP
Tell me
per year.
quantify.
So that's in terms of the U.S. to start, and that's a couple of $100 billion.
A couple of $100 billion.
$1 billion to start, and then it'll level off.
Is that every
and
year?
eventually,
Wait,
I think
I don't
we'll
know
save
why I
money.
can't get straight answer, okay?
right.
Y'all want
All
to
right.
talk about the problem, but you never want to answer the question.
No, I've been answering it.
Well, no, you haven't. I'm just asking for a figure. Does anybody have a figure that it would cost to decarbonize by 2050? That's all I'm asking. Does anybody have one?
So my answer is you start out with $200 billion and you get down to a cost savings by 2040.
What would be the total cost by 2050, you think?
At most, a couple of $100 billion by 2050 over 25 years.
So you think we can totally decarbonize America by a couple of $100 billion?
Well, I didn't say totally decarbonize because remember I said carbon capture
neutral.
and start.
You're right, carbon neutral.
Right.
Does anybody disagree with that?
That estimate is probably, is that a yearly figure, I'm assuming?
No, that's total.
Total
That's
200 billion.
200 billion for the whole
For
package.
total with some.
What is your figure, Professor?
I'm not prepared to give a figure.
You don't know. You just want us to do it and pay for it later.
it's
Do you have a figure, ma'am?
No, sir, this is really out of my area of expertise.
Can you, either you gentlemen?
Senator, I don't have a figure, and I wouldn't want to do the task you assigned me. But if you did, and I had to do that, I would take the Green New Deal and implement it. I would put the U.S. economy on a...
How much would it cost?
It'll cost our country, our liberties, our economy. We'll have to nationalize
How
the
much
energy-
will it cost?
our country.
Okay. Do you have an idea?
I have seen estimates that are a much higher percentage of GDP than Dr. Rose has indicated.
By now, Kennedy's had enough. He calls out the experts. You talk about the problem, but never answer the question. How can anyone push $1 trillion transition when no one gives a straight answer? If you want accountability, hit subscribe for more Capital Conservatives. This exchange reveals more than policy. It's about Washington's climate dreams versus real-world impact. Empty promises don't solve anything.
I mean, it's frustrating, folks. I don't mean to be rude, but I can't tell you how many hearings I've been through. And you say, well, the world is coming to an end, okay? All right. How much will it cost? We don't know.
The
We're not
point is, Senator, that
sure.
the cost of doing
We're
nothing
not
is higher.
sure. We need to get back to you. No fair-minded policymaker is going to embark on something that might cost a minimum of $200 billion. Based on what I've read, that's low. I don't know why you won't just answer straight.
It's a difficult question to answer because...
Of course it's difficult. That's what you're here for.
Technology advances at different rates, and so if...
You want us to just go start and then worry about the cost later? Come on, Professor. This isn't Cambridge. These are taxpayers
We
paying
need
for
to
all
make
this.
hard decisions now to transition...
Well, then how
economy
much will they
to net zero.
cost?
We need to invest.
You don't even know.
Kennedy reminds us accountability is crucial. So, what did we actually learn? Experts want to decarbonize America, but can't agree on how or how much it'll cost. That's why we need watchdogs in Washington. Subscribe to Capital Conservatives. Truth, accountability, America first.